What is going on? Let's see. Hello, hello. What is going on, chat? All right. So we're gonna work on building this up today, and then my next goal is we're gonna try out Zin shg.io, the new static site generator that Christoph has been working on, or Loris. So yeah, we're gonna give this a shot. My goal is eventually we can get this integrated. So you kind of get an all-in-one solution. You get a little bit of you basically get this kind of two-pronged approach where you get API routes from Fermyon eventually, and then you get the static site generation from this, all packaged under one build system. Builds all your pieces, and you just deploy one thing. Very cool. Cool. All right, let's just hop into it. Let's see where we're at on this. I made some changes to make this seem a little bit more like how Gorilla Mux works. So all right, cool. So let's take a look and see kind of where we're at right now. All right, so we have this router struct. Oh, that was what I was going to take a look at. Zig. There was a github.com zig lang zig. Did I just uppercase it? Yeah, there we go. All right, let's take a look and see kind of what we're looking at here. There was supposed to be a proposal for any writer. Oh, it was merged. Ayo. Nix Flake update. What is a song? There we go. Oh, this is way too heavy today. We need something a little lighter than that. Let's see. Oop, we're on keyboard. That's better. Chill. Let's do lo-fi today. I think works really well. Okay, cool. So now this should solve our problem. So one of the issues that we had is that technically, so when we're using WAGI, we have this thing where we have your basically your requests and your responses are all going over standard IO. So what we have to do is we kind of declare a type that is, operating over the IO interface. So what that looks like in practice is when we create a new handler, we get standard out, and we get a standard in reader, which is a generic reader, and then we pass it the any reader. Now, the problem was before we had to pass the file handler, and then you have to file.write. So that creates this kind of weird looking interface to work with. And what that looks like is you have a response.writer, right? Because we don't have an any writer. So you have to actually get the writer and then do that. And that's just not what I really want. I feel like that's kind of weird. So if we go to main and we take a look, you have to call this writer up front every time. And I really don't like that. I'd rather it be a little bit easier, but we can do so like in this case, we do a test post. This is a lot cleaner in my opinion because we can just use the request as a reader to begin with, which is what we want. We don't want this to be like you have a file handler and then you have to declare the writer. Like that doesn't. It's not a mental model that I like, even though it's technically correct, right? So. All right, cool. So what does this mean? So in theory, we should have support for main, no, root. We should be able to do this part here, pub const, let's say new HTTP response equals standard.io dot any writer. So what does this allow us to do? The any writer type is a generic writer, and then what we do is we just say, hey, we'll get that. So now we should be able to go like writer, and that gives us a generic writer interface. And then we pass that in here instead. So now, how does that change how this looks? We should just be able to do this. So we can say, actually, we'll just GCC, and then we should be able to just do with response. And that should be fine. Let's see. It might fail, but. Yep. Okay, yep. Roots. Okay, so how does this differ, right? So now we have to pass in dot. So let's just say writer instead. And then we'll just say writer.any. And that converts it to that generic writer that we can use here. And then we have to convert this to, okay, we'll just call this a HTTP response. And oh, yeah, there we go. So source main.sig. So now we can change this to response.print like that. And we can change all of these from writer. Yeah, so now we have to refactor this. So we'll just like pull that out right now. I just wanted to double check that this actually like works. And we can just say like this right now. So now we don't need that. We can just do Boom. And there we go. Spin up. And localhost 3000. Boom. There we go. Yeah, that's gonna fail for some reason. Let's see why. Okay, so we called hello data, which if we look here, is here. So we can go to that. Oh yeah, because we set it up to just read a single byte, which ideally we wouldn't. Yep. Cool. Yeah. So this is really really nice. I think this interface makes a lot more sense, at least to me, coming from a Go background. It feels very much like Go. The only thing we really want to add is I want to call in the ability to use the standard library HTTP data instead, just because I think that will be like a lot nicer, like because we can use. Actually, we won't do it here. We're gonna have to modify it a little bit. Yeah, so we'll pull that out. We can pull this out. There we go. And that is just so much cleaner now. And let's fix the error response handler. So we can now say that this takes a HTTP response and response like that. And we give it a status and it prints it out and boom, there we go. And then we should be able to use it here instead. Cool. So we have that. Now we just have to pass it the response instead. Boom. Yeah. Yeah, so that reads correctly now, right? Which is good. So now if we look here, we can, like, to maybe cause this to fail, we create a handler that only accepts 1 byte. Sig build. Spin up. And then we get a fail. Error reader request body, which we set before. So let's kind of keep going down the rabbit hole. I want to take a look at like what some of the other stuff that the routing that we can do that we might want to do, but then also the other thing is like how do we get like let's look at adding like some sort of way to handle what's the word for it? Oh, let's try to use the built-in standard library types as much as possible. Because I don't know if you saw this, but we call, close out of that. We call the status here. This is technically using an HTTP status code, but the content type is not. And that's because like how standard HTTP does headers. So if we look here, standard HTTP, we do headers here. If we want to create a header, get entries, no, it's this one, format. So the /r/n works, but it doesn't work for the WAGI spec, which says we have to put like just the new line. So there was a little bit of an issue with setting the headers this way. But in theory, that should work because we can just, standard print the headers. And then that was the other thing I wanted to look at is Gorilla Mux. So if we do Gorilla Mux, we have like this handle func, which is kind of what we already have. We have handlers. We want this like right header, right, where we can kind of expose an interface to write a header, which I think is definitely more of a Go thing than a Gorilla Mux thing. But in theory, we should be able to it should handle all of that under the hood. You keep in mind, this is all via WASI. If it supports the WAGI spec, then you get a router that can do all of that. Now, the obvious thing that this is missing right now is currently using basically different. It can't do outbound HTTP requests yet. It can only do inbound and then respond back. So what's some ways we can get around that we're looking at for that? Zig spin. So if we look here, this is a cool project I've been trying to do. Once it gets figured out on how to package it, I will 100% use it. It will absolutely work for me. Like this will be exactly what I want, because then I can wrap these here. So like we can do like HTTPN. We can use this kind of request and then build the router based on that. And then same for this part here. So if we do outbound requests, same thing. We can do this part. We'll make this look better. And then what we'll do is we'll just do all the routing part and use this under the hood. But for right now, this works great. And I think that the nice part about this is actually we can eventually just reuse this. So if we look at HTTP, it's doing this, but we could probably under the hood use the new writers instead. Or request, so response. We could replace this with using the standard library HTTP request. Admittedly, I think that this could really solve a lot of that. But yeah. Yep. Once this gets figured out how to package it, I will 100% use it. And that would solve a bunch of problems. And then we get a bunch of other benefits of we could, add support for the rest of the Fermyon spin like stack. We can use, SQLite and their config stuff. And if they ever support LLM stuff, we can do that too. Cool. All right. So let's work on getting the headers right. So I guess in theory, so let's go to, I guess we could probably wrap it in a struct too. So you could say like struct that, and then call the underlying type. But I really don't want to do that. I just want to keep it like very simple. But I'm trying to think, like, if we did a, request dot, see, we can't do that. So we'd have to do, like, response dot write, or whatever. So I think probably what we might look at is if we do, like, pub func, can I even, I'm curious, write header that takes, that's not what I want. All right, let's go back to root and let's explore how we're going to work with this. So if we do like a pub func right header takes in a because generally, like in Go, it looks like this. It'd be like response dot right header, http dot status okay, right, like this, and then that would just write the header for us. So I guess can I do like self, which takes in a HTTP request. I don't know if I can do that, but we'll try it. And a status code, which is a standard.http.status, and it returns void. Self.write.print. Can I do that? Let's mark Q. Okay. All right. So then, if I'm understanding this correctly, I could do something like, in this case, right? We'd say response dot print dot right header. And I probably have to import it. So I'd go like const right header equals Fermyon router dot right header, like this. So is that how I would use that? No. Sig namespace. Let's look at functions. Primitive types are copied. Passed by value, parameters. Functions are declared like this. Externally visible, which I don't care about. Calling convention. Function reflection. Yeah, I don't really care about that here. I just want to look at like putting it with a type. There are only namespace functions that you can call with the dot syntax. There are only namespace functions that you can call. Can I? Hmm. Using it is a declaration that mixes all the public declarations of an operand. Must be struct, union, enum, or opaque in the namespace. So could I do this? So if I do like const HTTP response equals struct using namespace yeah, that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I guess the other thing we could do is we can restrict this down so that we don't get the full writer interface, which might be not a bad thing here. So we could say like writer, standard IO, any writer. That's not what I wanted. I mean, it kind of is, but not really. We'll pull that out for now. We don't want that. Get out of here. Say new. That's not really what I want, though. It's not exactly like... I guess we don't care because, like, we define that here. Like, we call it into the handler. So the handler has no idea. It just has, like, methods exposed to it. So we could say, like, pub func write header, which takes himself let's say void self dot or http dot this would be status http or standard and then we just do yep like that. So we write this response status 500, and then we could do this here. At int from enum status, and then this one would be status dot phrase. That's backwards. That should be D and S, right? So if we approach it like this, then how does that affect the developer experience, right? Because, I mean, they don't have any knowledge of the writer at all, which is okay. I kind of want to, like, reduce that a little bit as well. Like, I kind of want to reduce the amount of, like, surface they have. Like, I understand, like, why you might want to call a writer under the hood, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not sure I'm jazzed about that. But yeah. Okay. So I think we'll use like from the writer, and that just like converts it to a new type. So we could say like, yeah. This is write header. What other things would we might potentially want? We want like print, write. Why was I using print and write? That's not. It's weird. We can pull this out. D space S/N. We won't do this part here because I don't think we really need to. Maybe we do need to set the content type. Which reminds me, you can probably take a look at that. HTTP go. We want the parse, nope, handler. Let's take a look at right header. Oh, it's an interface, so we might not have it. So I guess that would be under Gorilla.mux then. Maybe not. It's already written. Yeah, there's a header map. Hmm. That's very interesting. How'd they do it for CGI? This is kind of like a similar thought. It's a similar spec. Yeah, see, content type, text HTML. Yeah, that's really interesting. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, okay. So that one takes in like basically whatever, right? So this one's taking in a status code, which is an int. Yeah, cool. So okay, so that's that, and then the other one is just write, which takes in byte and returns an error. Which is really going to be more of a I wish there was a better way to handle this. So the problem is right now. Okay, so actually on this end, this should not be this should return stuff. So we'll say so we can just probably do this here, and then we'll just do these. Like that. And that is very clean, I think. And then we can do the same for right. So oh, and it returns the number of bytes read. Okay, cool. So we can do basically bang ints for I size. What does this return? Oh, U size. Like that. And that's basically it, right? Like yeah, this just handles the headers. In terms of the header map, that will be sent by the right header call. Yeah, so we'll need like a header map, but we don't have one yet. But I think we should put one there. I guess, yeah, then we would. So we could do map headers, which is a standard string hash map. Yeah. All right, cool. Actually, let's look at this. Pub headers equals standard.http.headers. Takes an allocator, yep. The lists, the index, initialize an empty array list of headers, an empty list of headers. Interesting that they use a list and not a hash map. I guess that makes sense though, right? Because you just iterate through them. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll do headers, standard.http headers. So that takes a header struct, which we're going to use internally. And then yeah. So how did we get the allocator in here before? Oh, we pass it in. Perfect, even better. And so we'll do we could say this is optional. Okay. So we say that we have optional headers. We just return that. We can do a builder pattern here, so we can do like with. No, I don't think I want to do that. Let's just do new. I think new works probably the best. We'll just, yeah, this will still be that. And then we'll say, so we have the writer, and we have the writer here, and that's already set to null. Let's just do a zig build just to check. I don't think it's going to do anything because we didn't use it anywhere. Yeah. All right, cool. So if we have the new, we write the headers, we do the write, which is of data portions of this here. We wouldn't use a buffer here, right? I'm just trying to think like if I would need to, allocate memory and then just send the whole buffer. But I think that doing this is fine. Yep. Cool. So then this is the new HTTP response. Here. So how would this look, right? So let's say we do. Okay, so let's rewrite this again. And we'll say HTTP response. Cool. So now we would say const response. Oh, and it needs an allocator, right? And then we would do, okay, so then in this case, it would not be null. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take the allocator and we're going to init a new list with the allocator. Standard keep or standard mem allocator. And we take the allocator and do that. And then what we would do is we would say allocator. And then this gets passed in like that instead. And then let's go back in here and yeah. Oops. Source main.zig. That's not public, so let's add a print interface. That is nice. Pub func print. Yeah, there we go. So now you can do this. Okay, let's mirror the interface. So we'll do like this. We'll do that as well. Root.zig 53. Oh, I know what this is going to be. Yep. So we do writer.any. Yeah, we want a reference to the allocator because it's not going to be owned by this process. So okay. So this is just any type. Okay, that's one. Runtime known argument passed to comp time parameter. Runtime known argument passed to comp time parameter. How is this written? Oh, it's a comp time value. So we say comp time. Redundant comp time keyword already in comp time. Is it? Why is it in a comp time scope already? Oh, because, oh, yeah. So they put it in the wrong spot. It's pretty weird. Okay. Okay, now we just need to fix the allocator. Expected type this, found that. Did I do that backwards? Yeah, that is the wrong thing. There we go. So now in theory, yeah, that's still going to work, right? Because we use the same handler. Okay. So we're using this here, but we should be able to replace this here. This is going to look different because it's going to be, we take the response dot write header. Yeah, that's not right. And it's going to be status dot standard dot http dot status dot internal server. All right, cool. So now we should be able to HTTP status is, that doesn't seem right. Oh, it's a function. Oops. And then we have to catch that error. So that is the only thing I'm not loving so far about this. Is because these don't return, right? Because these values like never return, which is very similar to like how Go does it, right? Like Go doesn't return anything. So we would do the same thing here. So we have to handle all the errors here, which I don't love. But I'm glad that it does. But I guess you could just discard the error. Like you could just say like that. Yep, there you go. Same thing. Boom. There we go. Cool. Okay, so that's easier to work with. And then if you wanted to do it yourself, you would just have to. I guess you could technically write your own header if you wanted to. Yeah, I also don't love that I always have to provide the allocator. Like, I mean, it's not a huge deal because if you think about this, right, it's serverless. So we have one request coming in. We'll allocate the memory for the requests, and then we just free it when we're done at the end of the scope. Which I think. Yeah, we didn't even have to do that. So like at the end of the call, that memory is freed. So we don't care. And then that's it. We're done. And I think that like with doing this in like a WASI serverless kind of context, it makes it really easy to work with. Hmm. So we don't need this anymore because we're not using it. So how would I set the content type? Like here. Just trying to think about this. I kind of want to add a serve file route. I think that would be really nice. Because then we could just like really heavily integrate with it with Zine. I think that'd be cool. Ooh, http.error. All right, if we want to focus on the routing, then maybe I should handle some of the. Should start looking at the middleware stuff here, and also these things here. Like add in basically like method dot methods. Because right now the route all it is an HTTP handler of our string hash map of that. I don't think that like that's really the best way to do it. I think that we probably want to do this. So we'll say like pub const route struct. The route is a handler, a name, an error, and a reference to all the named routes. So I guess that's the sub routes. Possibly passing from here, route conf, router. route config. That's not such a bad idea either. Handler, get handler, turns the handler for the route, if any. The name of the route, the matcher. We're not going to do the matcher just yet. Actually, let's see. Matchers, headers, host, match. Is it methods? Is that the one I'm... Yeah, that methods. Okay. Method matcher matches the request against HTTP methods. So match an array. So returns true if a given string and value is in the array. Yeah, like why wouldn't you just use a map for that? Because you could just say like, or a set, I guess. Methods adds a matcher for HTTP methods. A sequence of one or more methods to be matched. Hmm. And then it calls matcher.match. So it handles the matching on everything. And if it matches, then we're done. If you pass everything, then you're done. So let's try to do... Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll kind of start with this. We'll do handler, say HTTP handler. We'll do a name and a and then we'll do like func or pub func match. So that's the one thing we do need to check. So the request is standard in, and ooh, interesting. Hold on. WAGI. Request handling. Okay. First will print all the environment variables. I can't remember if the headers get passed in via environment variable. Or only some of them. Content type. Oh, yeah, see? So that's the thing. So request method is an environment variable. So for us, that's not going to really be the same thing. So I guess what the request should have, or the route. I think we might need something to like wrap this as well, because ideally what we would do is we'd package the environment map in as well. So you get the allocator, or you get the environment variables, and then those get passed in, and then you can just like get, all of that. Yeah, I don't know about that one. So I think, yeah, let's start on that then. We'll come back to this. We need a better way to handle this. Hub const http request equals a struct a reader, which is the underlying reader, the headers. So one thing I'm thinking about now, though, do I need to pass it at all if I'm going to use this struct? Because what I'm thinking is we could actually do pubfunc. Yeah, because we could say equals this dot any. I'm not even sure. Yeah. So we could do that, and then we could do this here, standard.io.get standard in. Yep. Okay, fine. Right now we'll just get rid of that. Right, and then that's basically the same thing, and then that simplifies the router here, because then I don't need these two. I can just say, yeah, just pass an allocator. Because I don't need this. Just makes a new one. And this would be, let's do an init. We don't need to set that now. Yeah. And then okay. So then the request would look like this. It'd say like sweet. This might be a little different, but for the time being, let's just say like for right now. So we'll say const request like that. And we'll just say this. And then the other thing is we'd want to put that gets initialized at the allocator, and then we can move this into the request. So the end map part, this part up. Ooh, maybe we don't though, because we're gonna get it anyways here, and then we can just pass it down into the request, or the request. So envars What even type is that? Okay, so this is an env map. Standard process env map. Okay, so yeah, I think that makes sense. Because then that gets freed at the end here. So we get the env map, and then we have to move the response to the request. Mm. So then in this case, we just do rec dot dot reader. Yep, same thing. Cool. So that I think that works a little bit better. Um, it moves the route, like the configuration of the types, I think up a little bit. So we can clear this out. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So now we have the request, the environment variables here. And then that allows us to get like this like pub func method. Is it request method? No, it's this. Yeah, request method. And we can do this. We can say const method equals request dot method. Does this say? Then we can just do like a standard debug print method. And this is actually a s. And then we can do this. Yep, method post. Boom. There we go. Curl x. We can do a get request on localhost 3000 / API / name. Okay. Or no, / hello. Boom. That's cool. So what are the other ones? Port, script name, we don't really care about that. The route would technically get passed down. The user agent we have access to. The host. We probably should put the script name content type. Is content length one that we get? Content length. Yep. Yep. Content length. We'll set that to be a U size. So let's see. Content length is that. If content length equals null. I'm like mixing up all sorts of casing today. I do not like this. Okay, so if we send the content length like that, we get that working. That's nice. Then we would say, oh, how do we convert? Zig convert string to int. Standard format parse in. Oh, right. Yeah. Return standard format parse int content length. So we're going to say usize content length. And it's base 10. Is base optional? What does this return? Oh, right. We'll just return. Okay. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. I didn't set the content type, so that makes sense. But it did get the content length, which is very cool. That is nice. That is very nice. I don't know if I want to put these here though, because I need to see what how else headers get sent in. Like I don't. Uh, I'm wondering if they don't. Let's see this. How do I do? It's been a while since I've done. How do I even do that? For loop. Oh right, yeah. So I can just do like for uh, rec dot. I don't think that's gonna work. I have a feeling this is not gonna work. Let's see if that works. I don't think it's going to. Zig build. Yeah, that makes sense. Is there a way to just print it? Oh, we have to get the iterator under the hood. Got it. Uh, uh, var and iter equals rec dot nbars dot iterator. Is it 4 that they use there? I think it's while. It's interesting that there's like content type and then HTTP content type, which I guess are like what it's assuming it is, that it doesn't get passed in. Interesting that that is not set, but HTTP content type is. Oh, I see, because it's not here. Should be though. Should be right here, but it's not. So that's an interesting thing. Not capturing content type. So we'll change that. So that needs to be HTTP content type. Yep, there we go. Now we have a content type. Yep. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Cool. All right, chat. I think I'm gonna get going. Um, but let's find someone we can rate. I think that'll be cool. Also, thanks for everyone who's stopping by. Feel free as well if you're interested. We're also on YouTube, so if you want to stream over there, I'd appreciate that as well. Whatever works for you. See if that works. Say bang YouTube. At least you set to this command to be a bang. Okay, maybe not. Okay, well, we will not then. That's fine. All right, let's find someone to raid. First, bye YouTube. Bye. Okay, cool. And then